Welcome to day 5 of the 30-day peak performance challenge. Hey, listen, you're doing great. You need to start inviting some friends into this group and really focusing on who you are. Let's get back to that question of who are you really. So I've been doing taking a class on crisis counseling, and one of the assignments was talking about trauma and low self-esteem. And as I looked at this assignment, I had to do a PowerPoint for this and do some research for it. We've all had some sort of trauma in our life. Now, does it classify as post-traumatic? Do you classify as post-traumatic stress? No, probably not. But we've all had some sort of trauma. Because trauma, and trauma can be emotional trauma. It can be mental trauma. It can be physical trauma. It can be sexual trauma. There's all sorts of traumas out there. And emotional trauma really is this idea of maybe losing a friend, losing a job, a toxic boss, maybe a toxic spouse, or maybe for some of you mamas, it is now empty nest. Your kids have gone off to college or getting ready to go off to college or left home for whatever reason, maybe to take a job or to move away. And so now you're dealing with some emotional trauma, and you may be struggling and going, why am I so down? I miss my kid. I miss my job. I miss my friend. And maybe now you can put a name to it, a title to it. Definitely would not call it a diagnosis, because I don't want to ever diagnose you with having some trauma in your life, because I don't think that's healthy. I think too often we go around, we say, I've got this, I've been diagnosed with this, I've been diagnosed with that, and that really becomes our identity. I see people that have been, divorced or in an abusive relationship, and I was in an abusive relationship and I'm divorced now, and that becomes their identity. Anytime you talk to them, that becomes their focal point. That becomes what they focus on 99% of the time. And at some point, you have to just say, okay, it's time to move forward and create a new identity. It's time to move forward and create a new purpose of who you are, because you weren't put on this earth to face these traumas. You were put on this earth and created for a reason. You were put on this earth and created to do something great. You were put on this earth to be a servant leader. You were put on this earth to serve Christ. You were put on this earth for a purpose. And I wonder today if maybe some of you are struggling with low self-esteem. When you look in the mirror, you don't necessarily see what I see. You don't see what your friends see. You see something completely different. You see all the flaws. You see the wrinkles. You see the years of experience. And so I want to challenge you today, when you go tonight and you look in that mirror, tomorrow morning you look in that mirror, I want you to look through that mirror at the lens in which I see you through. Look through that mirror through a different lens and see what you might create. You see, Maxwell Maltz wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, and in that book, Maxwell Maltz was a surgeon, a plastic surgeon, and he had lots and lots of patients. The book was written many years ago, and he had lots of patients that would come to him because they didn't like the way they looked. Their ears were too big. They wanted the tummy tuck. They wanted a smaller nose. They wanted their eyes not to have crow's feet, or they wanted something. And what Maxwell Maltz figured out was that if you change the image, it may or may not change the self-esteem, because the problem is the person within is still within. The person within is still deeply embedded into you as an individual. But if you begin to shift and see things through a different lens, and you begin to shift and see things through the eyes of someone else, tell yourself that you're beautiful, that you're handsome, that you're smart, that you are creative. I was reading a post by a friend of mine earlier, and she said that she almost didn't go to college and almost didn't graduate college because of one thing. And she kind of wrote on and on and on about how difficult college was. But she said the one thing that almost kept her from going and graduating college was she didn't feel like she was good in math. She goes on to say that she's been slow to be successful in life and in her business because she didn't feel like she was good in math. So I wonder for you today, if there's a struggle, might be because you have low self-esteem. Let's shift that today. Get your 5 pages in on your reading. We're going to focus tomorrow on something a little bit more exciting. Have a great night, and I will see you all next time.